North Korea has long been a nation shrouded in secrecy and defined by its militarism. In recent months, however, this isolated state has become a source of increasing global concern. The Kim regime has ramped up its military activities, engaged in a series of provocative actions, and issued increasingly bellicose rhetoric. This surge in activity has put the Korean peninsula and the wider international community on high alert. Analysts around the world are closely monitoring the situation, trying to decipher the motivations behind these actions and assess the potential for miscalculation. The stakes are incredibly high. With North Korea's growing nuclear and missile capabilities, any escalation of tensions could have devastating consequences. To understand North Korea's current actions, it's crucial to recognize the two fundamental pillars of its military doctrine. These pillars are deeply rooted in the nation's history and the strategic mindset of its leadership. First and foremost is regime survival. This is not just about maintaining power but ensuring the very existence of the state as it is known today. The Kim dynasty has ruled North Korea with an iron fist for decades, and the preservation of its power is paramount. The regime employs a combination of propaganda, military might, and political maneuvering to maintain its grip on the country. The second pillar is the reunification of the Korean peninsula under North Korean control, a goal that has been pursued since the end of the Korean War in 1953. This ambition is not merely a political statement, but a deeply ingrained objective that influences much of North Korea's foreign and domestic policies. Recently, the Kim regime has adopted a more aggressive posture, engaging in a series of provocative actions that have heightened tensions. These actions are part of a broader strategy to assert dominance and project power both regionally and globally. These include a steady drumbeat of missile tests, often conducted in defiance of international condemnation and UN Security Council resolutions. Each test serves multiple purposes: demonstrating technological advancements, sending a message of defiance, and testing the reactions of the international community. Beyond these tests, there have been reports of accelerated uranium enrichment activities and the expansion of North Korea's nuclear arsenal. These developments are alarming, as they indicate a significant enhancement of the regime's offensive capabilities. These actions are not merely symbolic, they represent a clear and present danger to regional and global security. The international community faces a complex challenge in addressing these threats, requiring a delicate balance of diplomacy, economic sanctions, and military preparedness. The stakes are high and the path forward is fraught with uncertainty, but understanding the motivations behind North Korea's actions is a crucial first step in navigating this perilous landscape. In a move that sent shockwaves through the region, Kim Jong-un ordered heightened war preparations in March 2024. During an inspection of a military base near the western border with South Korea, Kim emphasized the need for his forces to intensify combat training and achieve perfect war preparedness. This directive was issued against the backdrop of the annual U.S.-South Korea Freedom Shield military exercises, which Pyongyang routinely denounces as rehearsals for an invasion. North Korea responded to these exercises with a series of actions designed to showcase its military might and determination. Missile tests were conducted with alarming frequency, and state propaganda outlets issued fiery pronouncements warning of dire consequences should the US and South Korea continue their provocative actions. Section 4. Pyongyang's Proxies, a Front, Far from Home. In a surprising development that underscores the increasingly complex geopolitical landscape, North Korea has become entangled in the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. Reports have emerged indicating that Pyongyang has sent troops to bolster Russia's flagging war effort. This move, while seemingly unrelated to the Korean peninsula, has significant implications for regional security. For Russia, the deployment of North Korean troops offers several potential benefits. It provides a much-needed influx of manpower, lessening the strain on Russia's own depleted forces. It also serves as a propaganda victory, highlighting Russia's ability to secure international support, even if from a heavily sanctioned and isolated state like North Korea. Section 5. From landlocked to sea power, a new kind of threat. While North Korea's military strategy has traditionally focused on land-based threats, there has been a noticeable shift in recent years towards developing a more formidable naval force. This transformation is not just a minor adjustment but a significant overhaul of their military doctrine. The regime has invested heavily in shipbuilding, training and strategic planning to ensure that their navy can stand toe-to-toe with regional powers. This strategic pivot is not merely about projecting power, it reflects a calculated attempt to diversify North Korea's military capabilities and create new layers of deterrence. By expanding their naval capabilities, North Korea aims to send a clear message to its adversaries. They are prepared to defend their interests on multiple fronts. This diversification also serves to complicate the strategic calculations of other nations, making it harder for them to predict and counter North Korea's moves. A stronger navy provides North Korea with a range of options. It allows them to project power far beyond their borders, extending their influence into international waters. This newfound capability enables them to conduct operations that were previously impossible, such as long-range patrols and joint exercises with allied nations. It enhances the country's ability to defend its coastline and territorial waters. With a robust naval presence, North Korea can better monitor and control maritime activities, ensuring that their territorial integrity is maintained. This also acts as a deterrent to potential aggressors, who must now consider the increased risk of naval engagement. It also creates the potential to disrupt shipping lanes, a tactic that could cripple South Korea's export-dependent economy in the event of a conflict. By targeting these vital arteries of commerce, North Korea could exert significant economic pressure on its southern neighbor, potentially forcing concessions or weakening their resolve. Perhaps most concerningly, a modernized navy could provide North Korea with a platform for sea-launched ballistic missiles, further complicating efforts to contain its nuclear ambitions. These missiles could be launched from submarines, making them harder to detect and intercept. This development would not only enhance North Korea's offensive capabilities, but also pose a significant challenge to global security, as it would make preemptive strikes and defensive measures far more complex and risky. Section 6, Severing Ties, South Korea. Now the enemy. In a move that signaled a dramatic shift in North Korea's strategic calculus, Kim Jong-un announced in 2024 that his country would no longer pursue the reunification of the Korean peninsula. This announcement came as a shock to many, both within North Korea and around the world, as reunification had been a long-standing goal of the regime. The decision marked a significant departure from decades of policy and rhetoric that had emphasized the importance of bringing the two Koreas together under one government. This long-held objective, once a cornerstone of North Korean policy, has been officially abandoned. The shift away from reunification has left many analysts and observers scrambling to understand the new direction of North Korean strategy. The abandonment of this goal suggests a fundamental rethinking of the regime's priorities and objectives, potentially indicating a more isolationist or defensive posture. In its place, a new and chilling doctrine has emerged. South Korea is now the primary enemy. This new stance has been articulated through various channels, including official statements, military exercises, and propaganda campaigns. The reclassification of South Korea as an enemy represents a stark escalation in the rhetoric and actions of the North Korean government. This shift has been accompanied by a surge in hostile rhetoric and actions directed at Seoul. North Korean media outlets have ramped up their anti-South Korean messaging, portraying the South as a direct threat to the North's sovereignty and security. Military parades and exercises have increasingly featured scenarios that depict South Korea as the adversary, further entrenching this new doctrine in the minds of the North Korean populace. North Korean propaganda outlets now routinely demonize South Korea, portraying it as a puppet of the United States and a threat to the North's existence. This narrative is designed to rally domestic support and justify the regime's aggressive stance. By casting South Korea as a proxy for American interests, the North Korean government seeks to frame its actions as a necessary defense against foreign aggression. This escalation in tensions is deeply concerning. The international community has expressed alarm at the potential for miscalculation and unintended consequences. Diplomatic efforts to de-escalate the situation have been met with limited success, as both sides remain entrenched in their positions. The heightened state of alert has also had a profound impact on the daily lives of people in both Koreas. With increased military presence and frequent drills becoming the new norm, it increases the risk of miscalculation and raises the specter of a conflict that could quickly spiral out of control. The possibility of a military confrontation looms large, with both sides preparing for the worst-case scenario. The stakes are incredibly high, as any conflict on the Korean peninsula would have devastating consequences not only for the region, but for global stability. The world watches with bated breath, hoping for a peaceful resolution to this dangerous escalation. Section 7. A World on Edge, the Stakes of Escalation. The international community is watching the unfolding situation on the Korean peninsula with a mixture of apprehension and a sense of helplessness. The tools at the disposal of the international community to deter North Korea seem to be losing their effectiveness. Sanctions, while imposing significant economic hardship on North Korea, have not succeeded in altering the regime's behavior. Diplomacy, while always the preferred course of action, has proven frustratingly elusive. The Kim regime has shown little interest in engaging in meaningful dialogue, preferring instead to use negotiations as a stalling tactic and a platform to extract concessions.